Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 5.
Just a quick reminder. I know some people already know this, but I'm going to say in the beginning of the show instead of at the end of the show. We also reviewed the after party. We released this episode and probably 3 hours later, maybe 4 hours later, but definitely in the same day. The after party will come after this episode in the same day. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's do this.
All right. So Juan and Carla, they're talking about living together and finances. Juan is an entrepreneur. He knows that Carla loves to travel, and he tells her there will be times where she will need to travel on her own. He has to pay a lot of people with his business. He has a startup tech company, and he also works a 9-to-5 sales job. He is emphasizing that it's not easy to be a founder of a tech company because initially it's a money pit.
Yeah.
When she talked about her juicing, he tells her, like, I will never make those types of week-to-week purchases.
Oh.
Carla says that she is responsible, but she does like to splurge on food. He's not going to tell her what to do with her money, but, you know, she might have to do things on her own, including going out to dinner by herself.
Yeah.
Carla wouldn't say that she would want to end a relationship over the things that he's saying. She is an entrepreneur as well, so she understands that sometimes you just don't have it when it comes to the money.
Yeah. But
she does want to feel that he will take care of her, more of a feeling of being cared and sharing a life together necessarily than finances. Juan asks her, will it be a big deal if he doesn't have the money to do certain things? And she says no.
Do you understand what Juan is saying, Blair?
Yes.
What is he saying?
That he doesn't have a lot of free money to play around with. He is serious about his businesses. He's pretty much focused in on that right now. So he's not going to be able to just willy-nilly do a bunch of things, go on dates and spend money in the way that maybe Carla might be accustomed to.
Close, but not cigar, right?
Okay.
He's broke.
All right.
He don't have a tech company. He's trying to create an app. And as someone who was in trying to do that as well as myself, he's going to be broke, if not broke already. The fact that he's throwing all his money into an app that most likely will not catch on, you get what I'm saying? Especially based on what he says, the purpose of it, so you can talk to people in the airport and things like that. Sure, as if people want to, whatever. I'm not here to play Shark Tank with his idea, right? But the fact that he is so keen on her week-to-week juicing, talking about, hey, if you want to go out to dinner or vacation and things like that, I may not be able to join you, and actually having somebody come to actually join them with some type of liquid cash, some type of income, and he's in sales, so his salary is not even basically guaranteed, daily or weekly or bi-weekly. He's broke. And that's why now it's starting to make sense to where the family was like, when Carla was talking all these things, and the father was like, okay, so how do you make money? Because I don't know, because Juan comes off as someone that is penny pinching because he has pennies.
Maybe.
Dude, you get what I'm saying? What else is your thoughts on this scene?
Yeah, I understand what Carla's saying is that she wants love, but I think that there's a lot more to love or more to marriage than just love. Yeah. Marriage is also like a business partnership, relationship. So I hear what Juan is saying as far as, we may not have the extra, or he may not have the extra money to do all these types of things. But I don't know if Carla is willing to sacrifice in those ways in order for them to get ahead with whatever Juan is trying to do. She doesn't really know him that well for her to change her whole lifestyle in order to sacrifice for the family necessarily, so that way they can be in whatever financial position. I think that maybe if she knew him a bit longer and they actually had a relationship and she saw how determined he was when it came to his businesses and ideas, she's saying that she will be supportive of him and she's fine with doing things on her own. But I think that that's a lot to ask somebody that you just met. I think that going into this marriage, even though they say not to have expectations, they do want to share their life with somebody. And if I've been going to dinners and vacationing and doing solo trips this whole time, why would I get married to a stranger just to keep doing it by myself? So
because I'm broke.
Yeah.
We would talk about them later on. Keep going, Blair.
Camille and Thomas, they go kayaking dating. He likes to lead in some situations, but he tells her he's not really into traditional roles. Camille says that she's always making decisions. She's pretty much being the boss all day, and she would like to not have to make a lot of decisions recreationally.
Yeah.
Camille sees that he is letting her take the lead, but she prefers a guy to be more of the leader in the relationship.
Too timid. Too willing to sit in too willing to sit in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Right. No one is saying that sometimes the women can't lead. I believe in some factors and some things that in my marriage I am a great leader in. There are some things in this marriage that I am ignorant to that Blair is a good leader in. But you will never see me running to the passenger seat.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? There is a difference between, Blair, you drive this, and very different than, running to the passenger seat, having no say, having no kind of will to learn. And he's coming off right here as just a little too timid to my liking. I don't know if it's more on the fact of we just met, and maybe like I don't want to seem too strong-handed and things like that. But I think she's starting to feel it, and she's like, you know what? I don't want to be in the lead all the time. You get what I'm saying?
And I will say that I'm glad that they're communicating with each other
That's
about
fair.
these things.
You're
because absolutely, like, he may be doing these things. It may not be it may or may not be his natural tendency. He may want to try to push things a little bit more with Camille, but he really doesn't know where he stands with her. And these are things they have to talk about. They don't know each other. So for them to recognize, like, okay, this is something that doesn't feel quite right in the relationship, or maybe it's something that we haven't addressed, and they're able to talk about it and navigate, pivot, and move forward. And I just appreciate the way that they're able to do it without anybody getting defensive, and they're just trying to figure out their flow. Is what I'm getting.
I like that.
Now, in Mim and Eeaty, they are having breakfast together, and he asks her when did she go on her first date. And she talks about pretty much late in high school, she was into sports and not really focused on dating. Eeaty says a girl told him that she wanted to go on a date with him, so that's how he started dating. He always thought girls were out of his league, so he never really approached women. He talks about also he would lived between Atlanta and Houston, between his mom and his dad's house. When he was 16, his dad kicked him out of his house. So apparently his dad kicked him out because they just butted heads. They were too much alike. He had some older college friends that took him in and were kind of like father figures to him and were looking out for him. But when his mom found out, she told him to come back to Houston because you're not just going to be hanging out in Atlanta around college kids. Like, come home.
Okay.
It made him want to give back and help students succeed. He talks about how he really loves what he does, and he wants to be able to have an avenue for kids to get out of the hood with education. And he tells her, if that doesn't get you emotional, like, it makes me emotional. If that doesn't get you emotional, I don't know what will.
Blair, were like you emotional?
I was not emotional.
Okay, keep going.
And Mem says that her family wasn't emotional, and she has had to hold in a lot of her emotion. She makes it a point to be more vulnerable now after her dad passed, and her dad told her that he loved her for the first time on his deathbed. So she is trying her best to put the walls down, as Eeaty has asked her to do.
Me first on this one.
Yeah.
I felt like he was doing his best to try to make himself seem like a what is the word?
Philanthropist.
Yes, there we go. Right. And my thing is, you can help out kids. I have no problem with you helping out kids in the community. Listen here, we all do some type of community work. But it's the whole, like, listen, man, if that'll get you emotional, then like, I don't know what does. And she just looking at him like it's cool. You get what I'm saying? I think he was trying to pull on some heartstrings, trying to get some cheap points. You get what I'm saying? And not real points. There's a difference in relationship between cheap points and real points. I think he was trying to get some cheap points to basically build up his own character in her eyes and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think this is just Eeaty with his performative stuff, with him trying to appear a certain way and wanting to get a certain reaction or wanting people to see him in a certain light. You can be someone who really cares about kids and goes hard in your community and all these types of things, but why does that have to make me emotional?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's great what you're doing. That's wonderful. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
You don't need me to pander to you or to cry for you because you're getting kids out the hood. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're doing a great thing. Okay. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Nkechi expects from people. And I don't like the fact that Mim took it on herself. Like, well, maybe I'm not very vulnerable or emotional and all that type of stuff.
I mean, she's
and
not.
I'm just like, you may not be, but to me, that was an example of you not being vulnerable.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like Nkechi. I think it would have meant more if we actually see you get emotional about it. Besides you saying, like, if that don't make you emotional, then I don't know what was. If we would have saw him kind of like tear up and actually,
I think he was trying to tear up.
Yeah, he was.
he was trying to like if that doesn't get you, I'm getting emotional.
But my thing is, if we were to actually see the real him, meaning not with the 30 disguises that he has, and we actually get to see what you're actually passionate about. Guess what? The thing about it is, I'm always under the belief that real recognizes real. Right, so the reason why she probably didn't feel nothing because it probably didn't feel real. Do you get what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
Now, David and Madison are working out together.
I think you meant Allan.
I didn't mess up. I knew you were going to ask me.
David
and Madison are working out together.
You sure?
Yeah.
Do I got to go back and look?
No.
Okay.
It was David and Madison.
I'm going to take your word.
Okay.
All right.
Madison talks to David about how Allan's last relationship was toxic and how they're still getting to know each other. She's been with guys who don't trust her. David says that he had an on and off 12-year relationship with the woman he was engaged to, and he tatted her name on his chest.
Wait a minute.
He hasn't shared that with Michelle yet, and she is just really overwhelmed right now. He doesn't want to overwhelm her anymore. Madison gives him the advice to try challenging her and pushing back because you guys are married and you don't need to coddle her feelings.
Now, here's the thing. I'm low-key mad and happy about this because I thought I was going to catch it with like the whole like, no, it's Allan. But no, we got good chemistry. Yeah, why y'all working out together?
Yeah.
This kind of reminds me of the after party. Go check out the after party of, I think it was last episode where Carla was kind of given an account of, I think she was on the dance floor and Allan wanted to leave or something like that, and Allan's kind of like looking like, you know, kind of with a stern face of like, hey, I'm thinking like when I leave that you would want to leave and be with me because I'm your husband. Right. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, Madison, this is something that you like to do. You like to work out. And you just met your husband. This is day 3 or day 4 of the honeymoon. Why are you splitting your days with someone who's not your husband? That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah. This was a really weird scene to me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I think we caught the swapping couple right here. I think it's Madison and David.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah.
For me, number one, Madison doesn't need to tell David Allan's past relationship history and all that type of stuff. That is for you to know. That is not for David to know. As well as the fact that David sharing with Madison something that he never even told Michelle. Why does Madison need to know this?
Weird.
And I hear them trying to say, well, I'm just trying to get advice. Like, what do you think I should do? And all this type of stuff. Like, y'all don't even know each other. Y'all don't even know y'all's partners. So y'all don't need to be asking each other what y'all need to do with y'all partners because none of y'all know each other. I hear David just needs an outlet right now because he literally has nobody to talk to on this trip. He's been doing everything by himself. So this is a moment to where he can just find somebody to talk to. I'm like, you know what? Talk to Allan. Don't talk to his wife.
Yeah.
Why? It's not necessary. Usually we see the guys all, sharing stories and being there for each other, and the women do it too. When you get to having the guys and the girls trying to support each other, it can get down to a slippery situation. So
that's true. Let's keep going.
Now we get to Michelle and David. Michelle is trying to move past the hurdles, talking about him living in the basement and lifestyles, the fact that they don't know each other well.
Yeah.
She feels her old ways coming back and her walls are coming up. She can see that she is being moody. Her plan is to try to move past it. They can't keep talking about the living situation. And her family says that he's a nice guy and has been telling her to give him a chance for a friendship and allow yourself to enjoy your time with him. She's on the phone with her sister trying to say, like, girl, just have a good time. You're in Mexico. Like, please.
Yeah. This kind of lets me know what type of person she is. Somewhere when you're in paradise where you actually have to try to have a bad time.
Yeah.
Right? She's choosing to harp on this living situation that they are not talking about. She keeps bringing it up. But this is actually what happens when a person just don't find you attractive. I think it goes beyond the living situation. The living situation was the third strike, in my opinion. I'm actually amazed she haven't brought up cigarettes, because to me, I would have been stuck on cigarettes, right? But I think like the third strike was the living situation. I think number one, I don't find him attractive. 1 strike. Number 2, he's younger than me. 2 strikes. Number 3,
and he acts like it.
He lives with his mama. 3 strikes. So he was already on 2 strikes before like he even opened his mouth. But I want Blair to share with y'all, not in this scene, when they like start talking to each other, what you told me on the couch while we was watching this episode, which I thought was amazing.
Okay, I'll try.
Which was the motivation for the title of this episode.
Dang, I don't know if I remember what I said.
I think I'm going to remind you. Okay. Bad.
Okay, Juan and Carla go canoeing.
Okay.
They fall into the water, but the thing that stuck out to me was when Juan said that she stayed calm and he really liked how she handled the situation. So even the weird, crazy situations that you don't expect on a vacation or whatever the case may be, like these are things to where he's also learning more about Carla and how she handles things.
Let's keep going.
Moving on to Madison and Allan. Madison tells Allan that she and David, the way that they talked about the gym, both of them, when they came back to their partners, they were just like, oh, he was there, or I walked up and David was there. And I'm just like, I feel like y'all playing this gym session together. I don't care what y'all say.
Okay, she don't care.
Madison tells Allan that she and David talked about Michelle, how he's feeling, and also some of the things that they've talked about within their relationship.
Yeah.
Michelle gave David some advice to be a bit harder, stop walking on eggshells. And Allan, he's not too concerned about David's issue. He's like, is that something that you need from me? Is that some advice you would give me for our situation? Madison asks how he deals with conflict in relationship, and he says going into it with the idea of getting past it and just knowing that he's going to change whatever bothers his partner. Madison doesn't want to call him a pushover, but he's always worried about the other person. She thinks that he needs to focus on himself a bit more.
Yeah.
Allan asks if she considers him a pushover. Madison says to him that she just wants to make sure that they stay and do everything with intention, not to walk on eggshells. Yeah. And she would describe him as a caregiver. She wants Allan to care for Allan too, and he needs to do some things for himself. Allan tells her that he does own his happiness, but he doesn't put others' needs before his. If he's not happy, then he's out of the situation.
Yeah, Allan, what's wrong with you, bro? Really? Like, I don't know, you need to read some self-help book or like whatever, but it's coming off as she's starting to pity you. You get what I'm saying? She don't see you as an equal. It's already bad enough that, truth be told, Madison and Michelle is in the same boat. They both don't find their husbands attractive. But the way Madison is going about it is, I can at least say nicer than like Michelle. So she's at least trying to give you a map of how to at least try to win her. You get what I'm saying? Now, me, I'm under the impression of if she don't find you attractive, if the person don't find you attractive, you're already in the negatives too much, right? But she's trying to give you a map, Allan, and every checkpoint you choose to stop at, you be like, do you find me attractive? Am I a pushover? Am I assertive? Am I weak? What you think of me, right? And it's giving off she's starting to pity you. That's why she's calling you a caregiver instead of a pushover. You get what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm just gonna stop there because there's gonna be more about him later on.
Yeah, I feel like Allan is just trying to figure her out and trying to figure out what she sees in him and what are some things that he needs to change or improve upon. Yeah. So inherently, I don't think his questions are wrong. I do think when he keeps asking or saying stuff about like her not being attractive, I'm just like, you got to stop asking them questions. The answer's not going to change.
You have to stop.
But when it comes to, you know, his character or the way that he goes about caring for her or those types of things, I think that he is who he is, but he's trying to be who Madison would like him to be. Yeah. And I just don't think he's that guy, but he's trying. And I can't fault him for trying because it's only a few days. I think he's really just trying to figure out what is it that she wants. Yeah. So
let's go.
David told Michelle that he worked out with Madison.
Okay.
He realized that he has been picking and choosing what to ask Michelle. And he asked her, why hasn't she dated anyone in the past 6 years? Michelle talks about how she had like little short relationships, but her major relationship fizzled out because it just wasn't working anymore.
I wonder why.
David says that his was on and off for 12 years. He even has the girl's name tatted on him. And Michelle says, interesting. Yep, I see it. Why would you do that? When Michelle says interesting, she does not mean interesting.
Not at all.
She means ugh.
She almost threw up.
Yeah. David wanted to profess his love. They were dating long distance and he has a plan to get it covered up. He just hasn't done it yet. He even says maybe they could go on a date to where she watches him get it covered up.
Okay.
Michelle is not interested in going to a tattoo shop to watch him get his tattoo of his ex covered up. David asks if she finds him attractive, and she is honest that she's finding a hard time finding attraction. David asks her to go out to grab some lunch, and she just tells him, look, I'm frustrated. We keep doing this dance and song. It's kind of like you're living in a fantasy land. And David is telling her, I'm just trying to ask questions. You're giving me vague answers. He doesn't want her to shut down. So that's why he's not trying to push things too much. Yeah. Michelle asked him, because then he asked her like certain things like, I would want to know how you get along with your family. And Michelle asked him, why would you want to know that? Because David's a family person and he just wants to know everything about her. He asked, what do you want me to know? And Michelle tells him nothing at this point. Wow. She just feels like they're faking it. And David tells her that he is not faking anything. He is trying to keep a positive mindset. He hears her laugh. He thinks that that's cute. He's seen how she can be around other couples and he wants to experience that. Michelle tells him that this just isn't a good time. David tells her that it will come naturally, that we just need to stop harping on things and stop forcing things. Okay. Michelle says that she thinks that she's good, now, like, leave me alone. David can tell she's not feeling this. He doesn't know what he needs to do. And he asks her if she wants to walk around, grab a bite to eat. Michelle needs a break. David's going to go to the pool. He would like her to come. He understands if she needs a moment. Yeah. Michelle just needs him to leave her alone. She is over here stewing and frustrated, and she needs David out of her sight.
Now, since you got the better point that you told me last night while watching this, I want you to state your claim first, Blair.
Watching David talk to Michelle is like watching someone going to their priest for confession.
Oh my goodness, what a bar. When you said that, I was like, wow.
Why is David confessing all of his sins to Michelle? And look, I understand David's want to be vulnerable and honest, but you got to give her something to hold on to, like your personality, your charm, the way like something. You hold her hand, I don't know, something. You're giving her nothing to hold on to. You're just confessing your sins to her, and she is not a priest. She is not seem like she's a forgiving person or wanting to start anew with you. So she is harboring all of these confessions for her to condemn you, pretty much.
Man, listen here. I'm sitting here like a proud husband because I really have nothing better to say, but I know y'all come to hear me talk as well. Only thing I have to say is, can I give Michelle a little bail to get out of jail?
Sure.
Just a little bail to get out of jail? Okay. Here's the thing. David is coming off as weird. That's a fact, right? And one thing that Keisha said, I'm sure we'll give y'all a little preview of the after party. Through David weirdness, Keisha was challenging Michelle, basically but she's not being nice to you while you're being weird. Now, I understand on the surface that sounds like a possibility, but when someone hits you with weird, this is like the fourth weird thing that David has done. And one thing that my wife said to me, which I don't know if she's going to say it later in the show, so I may just let the cat out the bag a little bit.
Go ahead.
David has a lot of plans.
Yes.
Right? And he doesn't have a lot of execution. I'm going to move out my mama's house, right? I don't smoke that much. I can quit when I want to. I'm going to get this tattoo removed. I thought you was talking to Madison, and I thought it wasn't going to be a heavy thing. I thought you wasn't even going to tell her about the tattoo on your chest. But somehow, some way, you got into that confessional booth, and before the priest told you to do 6 Hail Marys, you say, priest, I have a tattoo of my ex on my chest. Now, here's the thing about it. As someone who is very good and discerning of atmospheres, I can pick up on social cues. David don't have much, in my opinion. I don't think I think he's looking at this as, I'm about to give Michelle a lot of bail. He's not looking at Michelle as a person because he's not picking up on her temperature. He's not picking up on her social cues and things like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Michelle is mean.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to give her bail to the point to absolve her of her actions. But he's treating this experiment of, I need to achieve this, right, as if it's independent of a person.
Right.
So he's not even picking up on the whole,
she has to be part of the process.
Exactly. So with him, he's
trying to make her.
Yeah, it's weird. So every time they talk, it's always these questions, but it's not conversation.
Right.
It's just that blurred line. But we should go come back to them. Keep going, Blair.
But I do think that Michelle she could handle it better. I don't think David is such a bad guy to where she couldn't have a conversation with him. I think the fact we're not seeing conversation is because once he says something, she's totally turned off and she no longer wants to speak to him or see him. But the thing is, he can say something, but you can continue the conversation. She physically cannot do it.
No, she can't.
I don't get what her block is. Like, I mean,
no.
If you work, if you are around the public, like you see and talk to all different types of people in your day. Not everybody resonates with you, but you continue on and having a pleasant moment with folks. So I just don't see why. It's just her. She just can't do it for some reason.
I understand that, and I am not Team Michelle. But what you said, even though what you said is what you said, that's not how we operate as people. If somebody is doing what David did with the weirdness and the things and the way he's coming out, it's hard to have a conversation with this person when they are your husband, when they are your wife, when this is a person that you're supposed to be intimate with. So she knows what she's doing in the sense of what he said, he haven't done nothing to me, right? She says that later on in the show. He haven't done nothing to me. But when you're trying to get over the house situation, because everything else is don't matter. The only thing she's stuck on really is he lives with his mama, which I believe is not fair, right? But he keeps vomiting confessions at her. So when she's trying to reset, he says, you know what? I got a tattoo of my ex on my chest and we can do a date to where you go see it removed. She's like, how old am I?
And that probably reinforces her thoughts of you're just childish and a mama's boy living in the basement. Because number one, why would you decide to have the tattoo?
Why would you tell me?
Why would you tell me? And why would you not have this covered up before getting married? It's just like you just come across as immature.
Yeah.
You know?
Now we got to get through this episode. Let's go, Blair.
Camille and Thomas have dinner. They would like to go out probably once a week, you know, as a married couple for dinner dates. She would love to hear more about his family story. And he shares with her that he found out he was adopted at 30 when his mom made a post online saying that she was happy that they were able to adopt the twins. His dad didn't tell him because he was afraid they wouldn't love him. Then his dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and passed about 3 months later.
Sad.
The experience has made it to where he doesn't really trust people off that. And Camille finds that it has given her a better view of who he is.
Okay.
And Thomas agrees that our relationships with our parents and our family shapes how we end up treating our partners. Camille's parents separated when she was younger. They divorced when she was around 16. She always had to be the calm person for her siblings and her family. Yeah. She does appreciate him asking her about that because that's not something that she usually talks about. They appreciate being able to talk freely with each other about these hard conversations, and it's helping them to form a bond.
And that's what I'm saying. I only got to say one thing about them. This is what a conversation looks like, not a confessional. You get what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
David gets all the guys together. They're doing a little bit of tequila tasting.
He needs some liquor.
And David tells the guys that he needs help. He's been having communication issues with Michelle, and he just needs to know what should he do. Yeah. Ikechi gives him advice that he should have no expectations. I think it's fair that I expect my wife to talk to me, Ikechi. You don't know what's going on. Okay. The girls get together to do some yoga. Michelle feels like they talk in circles. She feels like he is talking at her, and he asks all these vague type of questions.
Now stop right there for a second. I got a question. I feel like Michelle, well, not a question, more of a statement. I feel like this lets you know that Michelle really don't like him. She don't lead no conversations. No. All she has is criticisms of how he leads conversations. I said, we talk in circles. Well, why don't you lead a conversation? Well, I can't lead a conversation because I don't want to talk to you. Right. You get what I'm saying?
And Mim says that, well, Michelle, he doesn't know how to communicate with you because he doesn't know you.
That's not the answer.
Michelle doesn't want to keep harping on things, but doesn't know how they can get to know each other. Every day she feels like she's going to be the bad guy. And Mim tells her, hopefully he understands why you're feeling this way, but neither one of you guys are the bad guy. You guys have to find some type of way to get on the same page.
Dependable.
Michelle shares that they got into a disagreement. She wanted a moment. She wanted the day as a moment, and he wanted her to come to the pool after she had her moment. Michelle talks about how he keeps calling and texting. And Camille thinks that Michelle needs to readjust her focus and kind of look at things half full. She's being a bit pessimistic about the situation. Madison tells her that he is trying to reach you. Maybe you can try asking him some questions.
Let's keep going.
Eeaty tells David to talk about her insecurities, ask her what she needs. Juan also says that the fun always has to be there. All these serious conversations can't happen. You got to make her laugh. Just take it one day at a time.
This is the problem when it comes to involving other people in your relationship. Number one, Michelle's not being honest of why she don't like David.
Right.
It starts with he lives with his mama. That is her war cry right there. So everything after that, she can't see the person past that. Remind you, David haven't done nothing to her, right? To her to take it as personal as she's taking it right now. Now, what everybody, especially Eeaty and everybody trying to give their advice, here's the thing about it. David is operating off the sense of this is what a husband does. This is basically he's using the one size fit all when it comes to husbands. We talk. But David, how you're talking also is contributing to the problem, right? You're not really having conversations. David conversations is kind of centered around him. That is why he's always confessing. You get what I'm saying? Now, you already gave her 3 confessions, or at least 2 of them at the wedding day, on the wedding, right? And then you come on the honeymoon, talk about you have another woman's name tattooed on you. I don't think she would have even saw it because she don't want to see you naked. You get what I'm saying? So it just, now, after all of those things, now you want to ask her about her family? She already got the ick. You get what I'm saying? That is not an excuse for her to be rude and to basically be an a-hole towards him. But I can see how I could give her a little bail, not to get her out of jail, but just a little bail. I can see why it's hard for her to get past it. Let's keep going.
Camille asks about intimacy. Apparently, she and Thomas had a beach kiss. Madison says the romantic piece has been a challenge for her. Allan has been comforting, but she would like him to be more assertive. Allan says Madison is super fit, but he gets a sense that she's not attracted to him.
No, it's not a feeling. It's not a feeling. Blair said that she told you. You get what I'm saying?
Juan says you can fall for someone for who they are. What's worked for him is that he was straightforward about physical expectations, about pretty much they're not getting intimate. Mim and Eeaty have been sharing little pecks, but not really making out. She says that the attraction is there, so that's not an issue. Eeaty likes Mim as the homie. They vibe. She makes it easy for him to be a husband.
Guess what? Mim, I'm sorry, he's not into you. He's not attracted to you at all. The fact that you can say that y'all don't make out, that it's just little pecks here and there, if that, but we don't have to prove our attraction because it's there. No. That's not how it works. Now, I understand you probably haven't been in a relationship because you've been so career focused. But if he was really into you, he would be trying his best to find ways to sneak a kiss in, to touch you. And the fact that we see on his side, he see you as the homie. I don't think he physically find you attractive or as attractive to the point where he's not calling you the homie. You get what I'm saying?
David and Michelle meet up. He hopes that he's given her enough space, and he talks about how he asked the guys for advice. He asked if she had any expectations. She wanted someone to match her lifestyle and to teach her things, but she thinks they have different goals that they want for themselves, and maybe they're not compatible. David says that he wants to be committed in this marriage, and he asks her, what is it that you want from me? She wants him to leave her alone.
Wow.
He thinks that a husband should be checking on his wife, but Michelle is feeling smothered. Don't call or text me because it irks me. Back off a little bit. She also feels that he talks at her and he interrupts her. He gets it, and then he walks away. He ends up coming back, and he apologized for walking off. He's going to continue to fight for the marriage, but he needs his space too at this point. So he's going to take a step back. And she says same. Michelle talks about how she is a control freak, and when she loses control, she just leaves. She wants to leave right now, but she thinks she owes it to herself to push herself to stay.
Michelle, if you're a control freak, why did you come on Married at First Sight? You have such little control in the whole process. You don't even get to pick your spouse, but yet you're a control freak, right? First of all, you over there keep telling him in many ways than one, probably more ways than 3, talking about, look, I need space. Don't reach out to me. Don't touch me. Don't text me. Don't call me. Don't look at me. Don't call for me. Don't even ask about me. And eventually he said, okay, I get it. Like I got it. And then she gets mad and said, you're interrupting me. Wait a minute. Now you're gaslighting me. Now, Michelle, I knew you was me, but I did not know you was a gaslighter, right? The whole point of this whole conversation here is David is trying to, He's trying to complete Married at First Sight, right? By hook or by crook. Michelle is like, there's no way we can complete it because I'm just not into you. Forget compatible. I know she said, I want somebody who I can learn from. Number one, that speaks on his age. She feels like no one younger than me I can learn from, right? We have different lifestyles. You live with your mama. I don't. You get what I'm saying? So she's basically tearing him down or tearing the experts down of, hey, this is not what I asked for. Well, what you asked for was a light-skinned black guy. And apparently when it came to him, he asked for just a blonde, blue-eyed girl. So I think like both of y'all kind of messed up in what y'all wanted and needed in y'all life. But David is not mature to know what he wants outside of a blondie, and she has too much control issues. What is your thoughts on this scene?
No, I just co-sign what you say. Yeah. Moving on. And Mim and Eeaty chat. He told the guys that they're getting to know each other as homies. And Mim says, you call me the homie? Eeaty is trying to convince her that it's a good thing we have a friendship and it's better than the ops. The only two options I get is homie and ops.
That's what she said.
Eeaty says, don't dwell in the homie place. We vibe well, and he appreciates her for being her. He said that people resonated with him saying that, and it's important to have a friendship. Yeah. A lot of people didn't know how to say his name, and she did. He says that he will come up with a better term.
You don't have to come up with it. I'm your wife.
Yeah.
I'm your wife. Are there any thoughts you had on this scene?
That's the other thing with Eeaty, is that people resonated with it. It only matters what I resonate with. Why would you call me the homie? I don't like that. He says he'll come up with a better term. Why he can't just call her his wife? I don't know.
I don't know why he just can't apologize. Like it just shows that he don't really find her that attractive, because
I just think that's his thing of being the smartest in the room.
Like, I mean, of course.
Like what I said is right, and people liked what I said.
No, you're right.
It's just like, okay.
But I think he also don't find her that attractive. The fact that he can call her the homie, right? Basically, there's a limit that he will go when it comes to like respecting her in totality. And unfortunately, it's kind of weird that like there's like this thing that's in society to where it says like fat people get treated worse than like people who are not fat, right? So like he's treating her to the level of her attraction to him. So when she says, you call me the homie, right? I don't like that. And he said, well, what do you want to be, the ops? It's like, why those got to be only two options? It's the fact that he did not say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. You are my wife. You get what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
Juan and Carla get massages. He wants to be in love before getting physically intimate with her, but it's challenging because he does find her beautiful. Madison and Allan go on the paddle boat, and he is talking about how he loves the man he is. He has a certain type of aesthetic, but she thinks his outfits are crazy. He's wearing these green glasses, which he gives a long, drawn-out story about the person who gave it to him. She feels like he's a rambler, and she probably wouldn't really want to be seen out in public with him because of his style.
Wow.
It's just very different to her. David had dinner by himself. He is giving Michelle her space, and he is also sleeping by the pool.
And also, David, you're like to speak on Allan and David specifically. Allan, you're a pushover, and David, you are allowing yourself to be stepped on by this woman. Right, you sleeping outside as if you don't have a room, or like you sleeping on the couch as if you don't have a bed. I don't care. We're not divorced, so guess what? I'm gonna sleep right next to you. You get what I'm saying? Let's keep going.
Everyone gets together for a boat day. Michelle and David did not talk at all last night. Michelle and David didn't talk at all last night. She feels she has had enough alone time, but she can't get everything out of her head. She doesn't see how they're going to see eye to eye, but she'll be fine with small talk today. She talked to her friends and vented about her situation, and pretty much she doesn't want to continue talking to him, and David walks away. Michelle ends up talking to a producer. She starts crying. She feels that she's closed off, and she didn't envision things going this way. The producers try to get her to remember why she wanted to be married, and she really can't remember. She's really shut down at this point. David tells Juan and Allan he had a breakdown and needed his space, and he just wants to try to be positive for the rest of this trip. The ladies talk about how things might be when they get home, and Michelle thinks that it might be better once they get back home and get into their routine of things. Maybe they can see how they would gel together in real life.
Listen here, a lot of things happened when it came to Michelle. I think, Blair, we both can agree, I think the producers are forcing David and Michelle to talk to each other. right? To the point where he's on one side of the boat, she's on another side of the boat, and the producer got to come and break the fourth wall and be like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I want to jump off the boat, right? And he's basically like, look, man, I'm trying to do my part as a husband and trying to talk to her and trying to basically like complete this process, right? But I don't think he sees himself as contributing to the problem outside of attraction, but I'm talking about using her as basically a sounding board to get his confessions off as a reason why she's shutting down. What is your thoughts on this episode and just David and Michelle all together, Blair?
Overall, Michelle needs to go home. She's not going to be able to pull herself out of this funk. She really needs to go to therapy and figure out how she can allow people to be people and to not hold people to certain crazy standards. Because if it wasn't David, it was going to be somebody else and she was going to have an issue then.
Yeah. Listen here, we gonna touch more on this at the after party. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see you then. Bye.
Bye.